Now let's switch right over to our great friend Rick Perry, former Energy Secretary and former Texas Governor. Rick Perry, I guess while you were presiding over the Energy Department, the budget was about whatever it was, $35, $40 billion, if that's right.
30 billion.
All right. So now they're going to give them $250 billion. Now, I know a lot of that is loan guarantee authority. Some of it's direct loans. But, you know, that's 6 times the agency's budget. And I thought the agency, Energy Department, had a very bad experience years ago making loans to various Green New Deal companies like Solyndra. So have they forgotten? Is there a bad case of amnesia here, Rick Perry?
No, they haven't forgotten. They like that. That's what they do. They like shelling this money out to their friends, and particularly in the woke green climate folks that will be feeding at that trough. So let me just back up a second. And you had one of the best segments on with Art Laffer. I'm telling you, one of the brightest, most capable supply-side economics persons in the world. You two guys together lay it out really clearly. Here's what we need in this country, and we did this in Texas while I had the great privilege to be the governor. Don't overtax, don't overregulate, don't over-litigate, and have a skilled workforce. Those are the 4 things that if Washington, D.C. would only learn one lesson, is don't overtax, don't over-regulate, and don't over-litigate, and have a skilled workforce. And let the states, run the public schools, and that's how you get the skilled workforce. So this isn't rocket science. Every time government thinks they know best and they shovel money into these programs, they waste it. They don't have the best ideas. The private sector always has the best ideas. The idea that the EPA is going to have a $27 billion bank of which they're going to go out and invest in climate projects, that is insanity times 27 billion.
We'll get Andy Wheeler on later in the week, former EPA commissioner under Trump. You think, Rick, there's a lot of EPA staff who have loan experience, banking experience, credit risk experience, payments mechanisms experience? I mean, just the absurdity of creating a new government bank is beyond me. I know we've talked about it earlier in the show with John Hoeven and so forth, but it just bears repeating. This is nutty stuff, absolutely nutty stuff. And I'm not sure the public knows. And that's why I worry, Rick, about Republican messaging. They got to get this stuff out. Look at that full screen. Biden's Green New Deal ATM. That's what it is. And they ought to put it right in the dining room of the Democratic National Committee, because that's all it is a political ally shakedown.
Yeah, we got to keep talking about the inflation rate, what it's doing to Americans. I thought it was really spot on where you talked about if you're not making $700 and something more per month, it's what it's costing you. Gasoline's going down, but it's still way too high. I was at the Walmart today, Larry, and literally was walking through and looking, gathering up some groceries, and that I saw some new potatoes that looked like, man, that's a great, until I looked at the price. And it's kind of like, holy mackerel. I mean, the cost of food for everyday Americans out there, it's hitting them right in the stomach, so to speak. And that's what we Republicans need to talk about, is that government spending and government continuing to drive this inflation forward with all of their attacks, whether it's on the fossil fuel industry. $12 billion in new taxes is in this bill against the fossil fuel industry. I mean, they are killing the middle class and the poorer Americans in this country with this bill. That's a fact. This isn't an inflation killer. This is an inflation inflamer.
Yeah, it really is. I think it's a recession inflamer, too. I mean, just to the last point here, 30 seconds or so. Does anybody really, anyone with common sense, okay, this attack, this jihad against fossil fuels, oil, natural gas, coal, every darn thing, you think that's going to raise energy and electricity prices or lower them?
Absolutely.
I mean,
and listen, you tagged it perfectly. You said anyone with common sense.
Yes.
These folks don't have common sense.
Yeah, I'm afraid not. Anyway, Rick Perry, thank you for joining us, sir. As always, we
My
appreciate
brother.
it.